Ugh. He changed the Black Hawk to a White Hawk. We're gonna Elton John this whole thing up. Oh, oh man. I just gave you guys an Ethiopia update. You weren't paying attention there, man. Million people by the end of 2023. It's pretty sad. Sorry that you can't comprehend the words coming out of my mouth. Have you seen the South Park royal family of Canada? I think they're planning on suing. Just take a moment and think about the lived experience of Prince Harry and Meghan. I couldn't really care. I don't really care too much about the royal family. We have so many damn employees in the UK that it does come up a lot. They say, "What do you think about Harry and William and Charles?" And I say, "You guys don't understand. We had a war a while ago so that the people in the United States don't have to care about the royal family in the UK. We won that war. If we lost it, we'd have to care a lot." Um, you got this kid that grows up in the upper 0.00001%. Now, I grew up in a somewhat privileged background. My dad's a doctor. I mean, we weren't millionaires or anything like that. Drove Ford Tauruses and Chevy Malibus and lived in a 3,000 square foot home. So I didn't really want for a lot. Not like I, go into a little school with a lunch pail and all I can have is oats or something. And I have to like steal food. I wasn't a street urchin, but on the other side of it, by no means fancy dancy. Started at Front Range Community College and then went to Metro, then went to CU Boulder. And, I had the lived experience that a lot of people in the upper middle class do. Now, obviously, I built a big life. I became a self-made billionaire and, I have things that only the royal family would have or other people in that income bracket. Great. Harry was born into that. He didn't earn a goddamn thing his whole life. Now, yeah, he served his country in his country's military and, he's done a few things to try to prove that he's a guy. But then he has the audacity to go and say, "I've been treated so unfairly by this institution that's been around for 2,000 years. And they're just so mean to me because I married a woman that wants to make the entire institution all about her. And please respect our privacy by us writing a book about it and doing interviews and a Netflix documentary." If they really wanted privacy, I tell you what, Meghan and Harry, why don't you come out to Wyoming? And I'll get you a nice ranch. We'll go talk to Governor Gordon. We'll have a nice private meal, and he'll tell you all the different areas to go buy. So I think Kanye's moving out, and he's going to have 10,000 acres available. And you know what? On my ranch in Wheatland, if I don't want to see a person, I don't see a person for 3 days. Media can't get out there. Nobody knows where exactly I'm at at any given period of time. There's plenty of places, Wyoming, Montana, Texas, where we can put you where no one's ever going to see you. No one's going to know anything about you. And case in point, Jeffree Star is like a gigantic, flamboyant, just beacon, okay? Drives a fucking pink Rolls Royce with gold guns and covered in tattoos. And it's Jeffree Star. Google him. And he lives in Wyoming and has white albino yaks. And despite that, I have yet to run into Jeffree Star. Think about that. Only 500,000 people in the state, person as flamboyant and recognizable as that. And I still have yet to run into him. Why? Because it's a place you go when you don't want to be found. It's a place you go when you value your privacy. It's a place you go when you don't want to be seen. So what they were doing in South Park is they were pointing out that there was a hypocrisy here between the statements and the reality of the actions. And whenever you have a hypocrisy between what you say and what you actually do, you are open to criticism and comedy and satire. It's just that simple. and you take it. You have to take it. Everybody who's sufficiently famous who does something like this, they're going to be trashed by South Park, because that is the point of South Park. They point out the absurdity and the parodies because it's real comedy, and that's the point of comedy, is to remind people of these things. The very fact they're threatening to sue shows you how far gone they are, and only further damages the reputation. You know, it's not easy being in a family. I fully appreciate that. My mom grew up in an Italian Catholic family. She's got 5 brothers and a sister, and I think they've made an art form out of fighting with each other. It's a tough Italian family. And Thanksgivings and Christmases can be difficult at times, and rivalries form and these things. I fully appreciate there's a lot of conflict. And there's a lot of justified anger. Oh, they said this and they did this and they never loved me enough. And what about this and this divorce? Yeah, well, plenty of people all throughout life go through horrible situations, domestic violence, rape, all kinds of things. To make it so much about them and their circumstances and say ours was so unique, we now need to put it on front page story. Oh, the family's mildly racist. Oh, the family's doing this, the family's doing that. Okay, great. By the way, you're rich. By the way, you're a prince. By the way, you're directly connected to some of the most powerful humans in the world. And for the rest of your life, you're going to live a life of privilege. Almost everybody who goes through those horrible circumstances, they grow up in poor families. They grow up in very rough jurisdictions. They grow up in places where it's not safe to go outside. They grow up in places where they have to worry about basic things like, will we be able to pay the power bill? Will we be able to keep the water running in the house? Where am I going to go to eat tomorrow? How am I going to pay rent? That's their lived experience. Oh, by the way, they also have the domestic violence and the rape, and they have the murder, and they have the drug use, and they have all kinds of abusive situations in addition to those problems. So why is your lived experience so much worse than theirs? Oh, it's not? Then why do we care? Oh, we care because you're famous, and it's a scandal. And people love watching rich, powerful people stumble a little bit. They love getting to know the gossip. And you're taking advantage of the fact that people like being voyeurs to the rich and famous and powerful to make money and continue making yourselves relevant. It's just sad, and it's sad that it's been brought into our country, and it's sad that people reward this type of behavior, this shameful voyeurism. I guess I'm a bit sensitive to it because it was done with the early days of Ethereum. We were a bunch of kids. I was 25 years old. Vitalik was 19 years old. We had very limited experience in any of these things, and we were just basically thrust into a global role with hundreds of people, mostly sharks, some of which are now in prison, some of which are now under government investigations, some of which who ran actual scams, some of which who are dead. And we had to somehow survive with no guidelines, no book, no money, and we did our best. We didn't always do it right, but we tried our best, and turned out to be okay for everybody. 18 million turned into a $200 billion ecosystem. Pretty good. And what journalists did is they injected themselves into this process, and they took the drama of the week, the claims of the week, and they turned them into books, which will be turned into movies. And they say that's reality, and these are these people. And the consequences are that Gavin and Joe and myself and others, we just have to live with people thinking that's who we are every day. Now, all the other stuff that we've done in our lives, that doesn't matter, does it? No, because it doesn't fit the narrative. So I'm a little sensitive to it, and I see what they're trying to do and trying to adjust the narrative in certain different ways. I tell you, Harry, if you really want to be productive, why don't you go and really pick on Prince Andrew and dig into the Epstein thing? Because I'm pretty sure you probably know the story there. And there's some secrets there, and you really can dig deep to that. That would be good because you're saving children who have been molested. But instead you want to talk about how they were mean to you and made you feel like a spare. Oh, no. Well, it's like the meme with Ed Harris. No, it's not Ed Harris. It's the other Ed wiping his tears with money on his face. I'm sorry. I just don't have a lot of sympathy for it. And I'm glad that South Park is pointing this crap out.